Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we've got a stack of material all aimed at solving, I think, one of the biggest hurdles in learning a language.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's moving past that stiff kind of textbook way of speaking and actually sounding natural when you start a conversation.
Right. It's not just about knowing the vocabulary. It's about knowing the social code.
The unwritten rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission today is really to pull out the shortcuts, the specific phrases, the mindset that lets you, the listener, jump straight into that natural flow of a native English speaker.
Because when you're learning, you're always taught, perfect grammar, these very formal openings. But the sources we have really highlight that leaning on something like, hello, how are you? It just sounds like a recitation.
It does. It sounds like you're reading from a script.
Mm.
It puts up this immediate, rigid wall in the conversation.
And it forces a very predictable, closed answer.
Exactly. We're looking for something that keeps the door open, that signals warmth from the very first word. So this whole deep dive is about breaking that down. How to reboot the greeting, how to nail that low-stakes small talk, and, I think most importantly, how to use follow-ups to keep it all going.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that first step, the greeting reboot, that feels like the most critical part.
It is.
So first things first, we have to ditch how are you, at least in casual settings. The phrases we have here are much looser, much warmer.
Yeah.
Things like, hey, how's it going? Or morning, what's up?
I love those because they already have contractions and, a bit of slang built in that automatically sounds more casual.
Right.
And even something like, how have you been? It suggests you have a shared history, even if you just saw them yesterday. It just shows comfort.
Okay, let's pause on how's it going for a second. Why is that one so much better structurally than how are you?
That's a great question. So how are you is linguistically very clean. It's formal. You might use it in a professional email or something. But how's it going? It uses that verb going, which suggests action, continuity. Feels less like a status check and more like a fluid part of a conversation. And the contraction, how's, just makes it faster.
It just rolls off the tongue.
It signals speed, no pretense.
So the words matter, but I'm guessing the delivery is maybe even more important. You can't just say these phrases flatly.
No, absolutely not. The tone is everything. If you say, hey, how's it going? With a flat tone, it sounds like an obligation.
Like you're just going through the motions.
Right. You need that rising intonation, especially at the end, and relaxed expression. That rising tone is a nonverbal cue that says, hey, I'm actually interested in a quick, friendly chat. It's an invitation.
You just turned a simple greeting into a whole psychological move. And that brings us to something a lot of learners get wrong. The answer.
Yes. The rule of light answers.
They feel like they need to give this long, detailed response.
And this is probably the biggest cultural switch you have to make. When a native speaker asks this, they're performing a verbal handshake.
Yep.
They are not asking for a detailed report on your horrible morning commute.
Right.
If someone launches into all that, you immediately know they've missed the social cue.
So what does a light answer sound like? What is it actually communicating?
It communicates that you get the pace. You understand the rhythm of the interaction. It's a quick, simple phrase like, good, you, or not bad, thanks.
We're good.
Pretty good, yeah. That brevity respects the social energy. It keeps things light and stops you from getting stuck in that I'm fine, how are you, infinite loop. Basically tells the other person, okay, I'm ready for the real topic now.
Which is the perfect transition. So we've done the greeting. How do we pivot into an actual conversation?
Well, the next stage is small talk. And the materials are really clear on this. It should be simple, friendly, and totally non-confrontational.
Yeah, we're not solving world hunger here.
Not at all. We're just filling a bit of social space with some warmth.
So we found four really reliable starting points. First, the classic, the weather, but not just stating the obvious.
Right. Don't just say it's cold. You frame it as a shared feeling. Something like, is it just me or is today colder than yesterday?
Ah, so that invites a response, an agreement.
Exactly. It creates instant common ground.
Okay, number two is work or school. Again, keeping it very high level, like, how's your week going so far?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's easy to answer and it lets them decide how much detail they want to share.
Third is focusing on the current moment. This one's great for, like, a meeting or an event.
For sure.
An example is, did you have trouble finding this place? Very practical.
Very practical. And fourth, if you're in the same physical space, just comment on the shared environment. This cafe is really nice, right?
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting for me. The material calls out one technique specifically for starting conversations with total strangers.
The observation comment.
Yes, it calls it a supernatural starter.
It really is. The observation comment works because it creates an instant shared reality. You're not asking for anything personal. You're just ride it. You're acknowledging a truth about the environment you both share.
Okay, give us those examples from the source.
They're so simple and relatable. You're in a line, you just say, that line is moving so slowly today.
I can see myself saying that.
Or you're at a party. This place is more crowded than usual. Or even in an elevator. I love the song they're playing right now.
You know, I think a lot of learners default to the weather because it feels safe, but commenting on the slow line, it just feels warmer. Why is that? What's happening there psychologically?
It's because you're showing a tiny bit of vulnerability.
Oh, interesting.
When you complain lightly about the line, you're offering a personal opinion, a really low-stakes one. And that encourages the other person to reciprocate, to agree with that shared feeling. It's so much more genuine than just launching a scripted question. It's like saying, hey, we're in this together.
It's the definition of a social lubricant. You're building a tiny, temporary bridge using the world around you.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've got a warm opening, we've started a topic, but now we hit what I think is the biggest wall.
The conversational wall, yes.
The other person gives you a one-word answer, yes, no, fine, and silence. The conversation just dies.
This is where we need the secret to keeping it alive. And that is the follow-up question.
The trap is thinking that a short answer means they're not interested.
Right. It doesn't. It just means you need to show a little more genuine curiosity.
And we're talking about very specific light phrases here. They're designed to encourage more detail without sounding like an interrogation.
Exactly. So if someone says something positive, you don't just say, cool. You prompt them with, oh, nice, what happened?
Or if they state a fact, like they finished a project early, you push for the story behind it.
Really? How come? Notice how simple that is.
Yeah.
Or if you want to show some surprise, you can use that casual disbelief. No way, seriously.
And my favorite, if they mention something fun, like their weekend plans, the perfect one is, that sounds fun, tell me more. These are the little anchors that keep the flow going.
And what's fascinating is that even how you structure the question matters. Using what happened is often better than why.
Why is that?
Because why can sometimes sound a little demanding, like you're asking for a justification. But what happened is narrative. It's just asking for a story, which keeps the tone light and friendly.
And to support all of this, you have the simplest tools of all, the reaction words.
Oh, they are so vital. You can't just sit there in silence while you think of your next big sentence.
No.
These little interjections prove you're listening. A quick, wow, or, oh, got it, or, true.
Or my favorite, makes sense.
Makes sense is a great one. If you miss these, you create dead air.
Yeah.
The other person pauses, and if they don't get that little auditory nod, they think you're bored or you didn't understand.
They're literally the sound of you nodding your head.
Yes. And they take almost no mental effort, which makes them the perfect tool for fluency. They buy you time to think.
Okay, so to make this all really practical, we need to see it in action. The source material gives us this perfect little example, two coworkers meeting in the morning.
Let's break it down. Because it's about the choices they make compared to the choices a learner might default to.
Okay, so coworker A starts with that natural greeting we talked about. Hey, morning, how's it going? With that rising tone.
And coworker B uses the rule of light answers, but with a little hook. They say, pretty good. Just a bit sleepy. You.
Ah, okay.
They don't just say, I'm fine. By adding just a bit sleepy, they've just created a little conversational opportunity.
That's so critical. A less confident speaker might just say, good. You, and that could kill the flow. But sleepy is this mild, relatable feeling.
Right. And coworker A grabs that hook immediately. Use a simple follow-up. Same here. Did you get enough sleep last night?
Which is a perfect example of using the current moment, that shared feeling of sleepiness, to move things forward.
If they'd said something like, oh, that's too bad, will you finish your work today? It would have been way too intense.
Total interrogation. But did you get enough sleep?
Right.
Is just light and empathetic.
Exactly. So coworker B says, not really. I stayed up watching a movie. And here comes the key follow-up to keep it going.
Oh, yeah. What did you watch? Simple. Direct. Ask for the story.
Imagine if they had just said, oh, okay.
Conversation over.
Done. Instead, they signaled interest. So coworker B says, I was watching Interstellar.
And now we get those reaction words. Coworker A says, "Nice, that's a great one. What did you think?" That nice is just that little beat that keeps the rhythm.
Coworker B says, "I loved it. The music was amazing."
And the whole thing just wraps up with this mutual agreement and a gentle close. Totally agree. So, got any big plans for today?
Just work.
Yeah.
And maybe a nap later. Sounds perfect. It ends so naturally.
The big takeaway for me is how warm and simple it all was. It wasn't about complicated words or grammar. It was the techniques, the light answers, the flow questions that defined the whole thing. And that simplicity, that's the real key to sounding fluent.
So we've broken it all down. Now we have to boil this down into 3 things that you, the listener, can literally start doing today.
Okay, first, and this one is nonverbal. Smile before you speak. It sounds so silly.
It does, but it works.
But the physical act changes the shape of your mouth, your throat, and it automatically makes your voice sound warmer and more approachable. It's like an instant tone adjustment.
Second, ask simple questions. Just stop overthinking the grammar. Use those short phrases we talked about, like, how come, or what happened.
And use that observation comment with strangers.
Yes, it just lowers the stakes for everybody.
And tip number 3, react naturally. Just embrace the little sounds. Don't let silence kill the momentum. Use those ohs and reallys and make senses. They signal you're engaged.
If we connect all this to the bigger picture, I think the single most important psychological tip is this. Don't try to be perfect. That obsession with perfection is what paralyzes people.
It's so true, and it's empowering to remember that native speakers, we interrupt ourselves, we use filler words, we speak in incomplete sentences all the time.
All the time.
Fluency isn't about being correct. It's about confidence and flow.
That's the key. Shift your focus. Instead of trying to produce a flawless sentence, just focus on the techniques that keep the conversation moving and show you're interested. The sources are so clear on this. The more you talk, the more natural you get. The goal is conversational stamina, not a perfect grammar score.
So we have just completed our deep dive into conversational flow. We've moved way beyond how are you to embrace natural greetings, the power of those observation comments, and just the vital role of the follow-up question.
Yeah.
You now have the specific phrases and the social mindset to go out and try this immediately.
And the ultimate takeaway is that a good conversation is all about that light, rhythmic exchange. These phrases are just the tools that help you find that rhythm without using up all your mental energy.
Which leaves us with a really important question for you to think about. If fluency really is more about confidence and flow than it is about correctness, how does focusing on your listening skills, just using those tiny reaction words like wow and true, how does that actually help you build the confidence you need to speak, even when you're not sure what to say next?
Think about the power of just receiving information and building up the confidence to produce it. How those smallest words really do become the backbone of a real connection.
Thank you for diving deep with us today.
We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.